We've got Val Martin. Val Martin's been on the scene a long time and he's a really good speaker. And we went to local elections there recently and got 1,500 votes. You know what I mean? So a lot of people have ran in the local elections recently and it's the first time out. And one of them got 800 votes, one of them got 400 votes, and this man here got nearly 1,500 votes. So you have to give these guys credit. There is hope. People are doing something. So you have to give them credit and have friends support them, okay? So, there you go, Val Martin.
Thank you very much, and anyone that voted for me, thank you very much. I'm from Kingscourt, born on a farm, and I worked in various jobs, and I joined on Garda Síochána, and I was a guard for 32 years. I was always on outdoor duty, and I was a detective sergeant in Cavan, going around trying to solve crime and catch fellows for breaking into shops and help the old people who was attacked and all that stuff, and keep boots and all that. But part of my duty was to monitor migration coming into the county. And it wasn't a big job. We had two staff, two guards there that met them every other Monday. The people come into the station and they put their case to the reasons to come in, mainly medical people, and often they get a cup of tea and there was no big hassle. One or two were sent home, mainly students who couldn't pass their exams. There is no problem monitoring migration. The guards would send it up to the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice would check out what the story is and evaluate the whole thing, and they were limited what came in and everything went on grand. That's some change that happened in 2004 when all this stuff began to happen. Now remember, I also have another hat I wear about all this mad energy policy, and I fought this in the High Court for 3 days against Airgrid. And the first thing to remember is that we joined the European Union, the Single European Act. In Ireland is one of the few countries where they had to have a referendum, and it was passed. And the foundation of that Single European Act was the Treaty on the Foundation of the European Union. And that had the common travel area within the EU only. It had nothing about the rest of the world. The next thing was the Lisbon Treaty, and it was rejected the first time, but the second time it was passed. Now, it had nothing about bringing in people from the rest of the world. It had guarantees on environment. Unfortunately, it's rather silent on whether people can come from the rest of the world or not. There is a common travel area and a common work area within the EU. So we're kind of caught with that. That's what we agreed to in the treaties. But now we have a different situation. We have a situation where they can come here from anywhere. And what's happening is they're arriving into Southern Europe and into Germany. And according to the law, the first country they arrive in, that's where they should claim asylum. And what's happening then is our government agreed to cancel all that, throw that to the wind, and allow them come from Italy, Germany, as the EU, Ursula von der Leyen, dictated. So they can lorry them in here from anywhere in Europe to get them out of their way and put them in here. Now, our government agreed to that. They agreed to the Shen 1 agreement. They went over and they agreed to it. Now, they'll tell you, oh, it's EU law. They agreed to the law. They could have vetoed that law, but they didn't do it. So that's enough of that. I just want to let you know the basic rules of the game. One of the things that got me into this was about 15 years ago, I became aware that a Catholic woman called Asi Bibi was sentenced to death in Pakistan for what they call blasphemy. She was working picking food with a crowd of Muslim women essentially, and a row developed, which can happen. But unfortunately, instead of her getting a fine or whatever she said or whoever she insulted, she got sentenced to be hanged. And she was 6 years on death row, and her children could come up to the prison and shout into her every evening to their mother that was expected to die. And the judge said, it went on, her solicitor was shot, was killed. And the people were all out wanting her hanged. It was like the crucifixion, crucify him, crucify him. And it went to eventually to a judge, a senior judge, and the senior judge realized this was not a very good looking thing. And he said, if any country will take this family, we'll get her out of here, and that'll sort that. quite all right. I was very relieved. I tried my best to get her in here, along with Brendan Howland, funny enough, a Labour man. I'm not no fan of them, but he and a man called Patrick Manning, we wrote to everyone to try and let her come in here. And I have a farm over in Kingscote, and I'd have given her a place for a little hut or whatever, and welcome her in, and we go to Mass and all. They refused. The blackguards wouldn't let her in. That'll tell you what we're dealing with. That'll tell you. And she would not change her religion because she said she couldn't give up on Jesus Christ. Right, enough said. So what's the story? Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, you wouldn't expect anything from a pig but a grunt. There are neighbours, there are relations. And to hell with them. Fianna Fáil, my father told me he'd hit me with a spade if I didn't vote Fianna Fáil. But that was in a different time. There was none of this going on. But there is now. And they are all for this. And those that aren't will tell you privately, I don't agree with it, but I can do nothing. And then, of course, we have people before puberty and them other idiots and the Greens and all that push this. They put notices up in Africa to bring, inviting these people in. There is no persecution over there. The French were ripping them off in many African countries, taking their gold and all. But there is one party you would have expected, an Irish Nationalist Party, that as a retired Garda I would have issues with. But then all of the previous parties had, even Michael Collins agreed or accepted there had to be some violence, he felt, but as soon as he could get it sorted, he kind of did. So you would expect that a nationalist party of Nationalist Ireland that was against all the landlords and all the robbing of our goods and everything else, however good or bad it was, and got our freedom, you would expect that they would be the ones who would stand up for us. And that is Sinn Féin. I would be prepared to say what's done is done. I stood at the ground looking at dead guards and soldiers. I brought the doctors to some of them, shot through the head, God be good to them. I had to go to my colleagues' funerals. I'm not particularly political as such. I'm an Irishman, but I don't agree. I want to see a peaceful solution to our problems. Now, what is wrong? Well, I can tell you, Matt Carthy had a meeting there in the Shirley Arms. I was at it. All humpy talk, all happy talk. And it was the same when we tried to do with the pylons and the windmills away over Meath. Oh, well, we're with you. But he done nothing. They're illegal, and he would not raise it in the Dáil. He have never raised it in the Dáil. And his man, Declan Kearney, is his national organiser in Belfast, and he has said he craves a multicultural society. A multicultural society. Now, I don't know where this comes from. It's a bit happening all over the world as well. But it could be that they feel because the big lamb, big drum was being battered up and down Armagh, that maybe what we'll do is we'll give them that many migrants and other people that we'll get our own back that way. I don't think that's the answer. But the point is, our little republic has to take it too. We have to take it too. And remember, our government would not let in ACBB. That's the measure. This is pushed by the World Economic Forum, by a big heap of people, and recently in England, you'll hear Sinn Féin saying, oh, Nigel Farage, he's an awful lad. He won a few elections over there, and the minute he won them, Keir Starmer, or Rip Roden, for this mass migration and other things, he tried to put them out. He went to Albania the day before yesterday, and he asked the Prime Minister of Albania, will you take a heap of them from Britain? And the Prime Minister said, hump off. Hump off. And he's gone round now to see where he can put them. And if he can, he'll dump them in here, and our Jalubas will take them. So, enough said. Enough said. What are we going to do? I stood for election on this. A lot of people came in and thought they'd get elected, or we'd all be TDs. It was a tall order. I got 1,449 votes. Generally, we got 3,000 votes in Cappamon. I was the best known. I'm a farmer as well, and I'm known around the marks and everything. And I didn't do too bad, but I still wasn't in with a chance. A funny thing, 670 of my votes transferred when I was eliminated to the A2 candidate, Sarah O'Reilly. That's just a point of information. Now, the thing about it is, what are we going to do? Our neighbours don't seem to give a tuppenny damn. They're still going to vote the same as they always did. Unless there's a change. I am lost for ideas, and maybe somebody before me here had better ideas, so we can think that out, and I'm here long enough. But one of the things I'm doing... Well, I'm here long enough talking. The one thing... Thank you. One thing I am doing, this chat is concerning people a bit, but it's not enough to get them to mark that ballot paper. It's not enough to persuade them to move over and give it to people like me or anyone else. But what I am doing is, in my private life, I bring this up all the time and tell them straight. I'll point to this lady just to do show. You're the cause of it. You know what I mean? I'm not pointing at you. You're the cause of it. Why? You're the cause of it. You will not change your vote. Oh, I will, yeah. And you'll see them looking down like this. Look at that. You can't even look straight at me. If you consider the way the apostles, I don't like to be religious about this, the way they tried to spread the gospel, they knew it wasn't going to be easy. I'm not saying it that. This is not going to be easy. We got to pin them down and say, you're the one that had the chance to fix this, and you wouldn't do it. And your own kids won't be able to get a house. We have a situation where all our children are going abroad, and they have our energy destroyed, our industry's been destroyed all over Europe as well, and now the crowd in Europe are having fired us on about climate change, are now trying to fire up the steel plants and get armies built up to fight Putin. The fact is about Putin. My friend, I'll not just name him, but I'll tell you privately, was in Odessa in 2014. And there was a revolution started by the Americans. There was a prime minister there who was for everybody. He tried to have a peace between them all. And they put him out, and the Americans helped to put him out, and the British. But when they put him out, they drove a lot of the people in Odessa and in other parts up into buildings and set the buildings alight. They murdered at least 3,000 Russian people, which would be the equivalent as if the nationalists in the north, for example, murdered a whole heap of unionists up there and burnt them alive. That's what happened. That is real. My friend was there when that was happened. Yet when you turn on RTE, oh, big bad Putin, big bad Putin. Big bad Putin isn't doing what they're doing to our country. He's not doing it to Russia. He's not doing it. And the thing about that is that they did this in several of the eastern provinces, and they left Putin with very little option but to do something about it. And they're still thinking they're going to beat him. They still think they're going to wallop him. Well, I can tell you the big thing we got to look for. We're not having our children fighting Russia. We have more to worry about our crowd and the EU than we have Putin. Putin won't touch us. And that's the next thing, to remove the triple lock and get the three protections that's in the Constitution for our neutrality for 12 people or more. They want to remove that, and they'll have our lads and lassies over there fighting the Russians. And we got to remember that will fairly sicken them, and it'll not be the Fine Gael hired children and the Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin that'll be going. It'll be the ordinary working lad, the son of some lad that wanted to be a soldier, and he finds out doing this. Look, I've spoke long enough. They have to scam with their energy. That's all a make-up scam. They have the World Economic Forum. They have Klaus Schwab. He had to go. And they had the Democrats in America. Now, I don't want to get presently political, but every time you turn on the radio, it's always big bad Trump, big bad Putin. And they're trying to overcome this. These people that are coming here, the people that are coming here, a lot of them wouldn't come here if they weren't given such unbelievably high inducements. There's an Afghan fella there, genuinely, on YouTube. He's getting 500 a week. Now, we still can have a few of them, and we still don't let them tell you, oh, I had a Polish plumber. They're entitled to be here. EU citizens are entitled to be here, unless they commit crime. but the rest of the world is not entitled to be here. And when people start whinging, it's too bad about me, you ask them the simple question: how many do you want in? Is it 100,000? Is it 1 million? Is it 60 million? There's 8 billion people in the world. When we went to England long ago, our people, we were only at the best 250,000 going into a population of 56 million. When we went to America, another country, we were going into a country which has a population of 300 million, and a good few people within there, and we worked. We are accommodating people who want to come here to do a good day's work. I meet them in shops, people from different places who are assessed and checked, and they're nice people, and among our friends, and as the priest says somewhere, only for the Poles I'd have nobody. We're not against those people at all. We would always have a bit on our people going. But we must look after the future. What they're doing now is they're passing on the debt now onto their grandchildren, and now they're passing on our darling wee country. When you look at it like this, when you look at it this evening, they're leaving our grandchildren that we won't, they will never be able to enjoy their country the way we did. Folks, I've said enough. If there are any questions, I'll try to ask them. We are right in this. Right is on our side. And I was accused a few times of being a racist. I am a racist. I am racist against Irish people who push this in the ballot box, who go in and vote for this. I don't like them. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they live over there or over there. I'm not racist against an Indian person, an African, or anyone else. I used to visit America. I had an African chap there. We used to go drinking, and we'd start all over New York and go into rows and everything. I'm not against that at all. If we had a black pope, I didn't care. That's not what racist is. Don't forget too about Ukraine. It's full of Hitler Nazis. Died in the world, Hitler Nazis. And we're listening to them condemning Nazis. And we're the ones that's right wing. And when you put on RT, they're the ones that are the goodies. Folks, I've said enough to be here. I don't have all the answers. You never know if you try hard enough and you do your best. We could get lucky. It's a question now of limiting the damage that has already been done. Because if we don't manage to stop it some way, well, I don't have to tell you the result. Folks, thank you. Huh? Yes. If you have an election here, they would only elect a councillor at best. You will not get a TD on that. So, of course, for everyone that's here, there's probably 10 people at home. Politically, I cannot tell you how we persuade the traditional voter to change. I'm looking at them every day when they have me dinner, when I'm dealing with people in shops, and I say, why will you not be trying to do something about what's going on? And I do not have the answer to that. All I can say is we must never accept it as normal. This is not normal. Not normal at all. It was never normal. And if we're racist, how come this was the law till 2004? Well, we racist in 2000. Because the whole government had control. Because I was involved in it. It's all about assessing who comes in and making sure we have the numbers we need, we have the services that we can handle it, we have the houses we can handle it. These crowd of idiots can't build a children's hospital after 10 years. So this is what we're dealing with. But it'll take a lot of thought and a lot of effort, and I have to admit to you, I put a lot of thought to it, and normally I have a good answer. With the windmills, we started going to court, we started tackling them with the planning, we started using the European Court of Justice and collecting money and doing things, and it was partially successful. I've cost them over €1 billion to date just by studying the law. Unfortunately, the law here doesn't say that there has to be a migrant quota or anything else. That's the unbelievable problem. They never put it in the Constitution because they never thought it would happen. And can I just finish, folks, and that's enough. Don't forget, I did a university degree in the Institute of Public Participation ending in 2003, and I got it. A crowd of people around Cavan wanted to do this, ones in the VEC and everything. But I always remember our Constitution concedes certain powers to the European Union. It concedes them. But it has conditions attached. So with the strategic environmental assessment, there has to be a proper engineering assessment to bypass that. Now, we only conceded what was in the treaties. We didn't concede anything about mass migration. That was given up by our government and can be taken back. And this is definitely the law. And this is definitely the situation as told to me by an eminent professor in Dublin, and which I agree, and John V. Kelly wrote a book, the late John V. Kelly, on this. We can take back control of our country from the EU if we have a referendum. Every single bit of legislation can be taken out. Our constitution is the prime document, and it's the principal document, and we have conceded certain things to the EU, and that's as long as the people agree, we can always take that back. And at least once the people voted against it. I just want you to understand the real situation and the law, so that at least my presence here maybe enlightens people a wee bit. And I wouldn't tell you something if I didn't think it was fairly right. Folks, isn't that enough? Is that all right?
What about the hate speech, Val? Hate speech. We're enforcing this hate speech.
Yeah, thank you. Mentioned about hate speech. Just talk that they're forcing this in again. The present minor hate speech law says that if I'm sitting in my house and someone comes in and attacks me for whatever reason, they get whatever penalty is in the law, 5 years imprisonment or whatever it is. If the person coming in goes into a house of a protected person, like a migrant or whatever, and they are motivated by hate, they get life imprisonment. You understand? So there's a two-tier system. There's one system for us. If we are attacked, we're just like every other lad. But if they are attacked by any of our people, they get life imprisonment, provided that there is evidence that it's based on these protected people. Now that's the law at present. Now there was more in it. There was a whole big law that was dropped after Sinn Féin, I think, got watery on it. And they say that's coming back again. And that effectively means that I could not stand up here without being prosecuted. We have a situation in Britain where our lady is serving a prison sentence for saying the rosary in her own house up the road from an abortion clinic. It's illegal to pray near an abortion clinic in Britain. Starmer is arresting several people. He arrested an ex-policeman, Harry Miller. Our next sergeant, I think he was too. You'll get him. His name is Harry Miller. And Harry was like me talking here, and they charged him with a crime of, now don't push me out, generally being racist or promoting hate, or words that were likely to be interpreted to promote hate or whatever. And he went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the people say, oh, old guards and old policemen, oh, to hell with them. He did that and he won. The judge said that was too broad. In other words, the print of the law is so broad that no matter what you say, you're caught. And he won that in Britain. So when it comes in here, you can be sure it'll be a carbon copy. And you have to go all the way to court. And it's not easy. For me, even to represent myself, which I'm able to do, and I'm a busy farmer, to go to the High Court in Dublin is 20 days off. 20 days to go up and down there with documents here and there to do it yourself. And this is the trouble. So this is what we need to watch out for, what they'll probably do. Will they bring it in? I don't know. Oh yes, and one thing that's just come to my mind. Remember, the people in the last election dumped out nearly all the Greens. They did not give Sinn Féin their expected big vote. So, what happened? Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil got too short of a majority. There were several independents. They ran into government with the Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. Did any of them add a condition about migration? Did any of them say, I'll only support you provided you do something? Verona Murphy was rapping about this. She became the Can Cola. Michael Lowry, you mightn't expect much else there. The Healy Rays were in there. But none of them, none of the independents who were elected by the people made an issue of this. And that'll tell you, this is how they work. When they can't get elected themselves, some other lad runs, and you need to watch this in future if there's voting on this again. watch for the Pied Piper, watch for the lad coming in, oh, I'll fix this. And what really, when he gets in, he turned coat.
Well done, Val.
And this happened with the Irish party. You know the Irish, the party run by, you know all the TDs, the Irish, anyway, Kieran Malooly ran for the Europe, Irish Independent Party. Right, they had a few good candidates. They picked an RTE hack, Kieran Malooly. And oh, he's great, seen him on the telly. And he is 100% for this more than Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. So how do you win when you have people not seeing through that fella? The first thing he did when he got elected was to assure RTE, he said it, I support all this climate stuff and all the action of the government. So when you see that, the opposition that you appear to be getting, and Sinn Féin is the same, they present themselves as the answer to the problem, and you gotta look at them and you gotta watch them, because they'll always be there. I probably will never stand again. I'll not probably do it, but you need to have somebody who will never turn. And may I just mention, when I'm here, we see what's happening with the bold Donald Trump in America, like him or loathe him. He is sticking to what he's done. He might be creating a bit of mayhem, but he's not reneging on his promises. And that's very, very rare. And Nigel Farage may be an English country gentleman, but he is not reneging on his promises that I can see. And they are affecting them. They have the wind up the British. And the Conservative government got in, and they were worse than the Labour crowd. So folks, I want to thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope I said that right, and the best of luck to you all.